We're back then with another hero preview video for Gotham Knights. Today we'll have a look at the full skill tree for Nightwing, so that's 28 skills in total we'll have a look at. We'll check out all of his outfits, that's 13 in total, and then we'll be able to have a look at a selection of abilities available for him as well, and that does include his ultimate ability. But let's dive in here. Let's start off by looking at the skill trees first. So we have 4 trees in total to look at here. You get skill points via leveling up your character and then you can invest them into the different skill trees. The first one we look at is the Raptor tree. Now we have perfect evade. I'm pretty sure all heroes actually have this. So with this one here, in this instance, Nightwing performs a perfectly timed evade that generates momentum. Momentum is used for your abilities that we'll look at later on, and on top of this it allows for a perfect attack follow up as well. We then have critical expertise. Quite a few heroes have skills like this that are just essentially stat sticks, which is a bit disappointing, but critical expertise, that's this one. It increases Nightwing's critical damage by 20%, really pretty basic this one. We then have an ability modifier here, and once again we'll look at the abilities later on in the video, but this is called Trampoline. So with this one, Nightwing's pounce ability is automatically followed by a high jump onto the enemy, so you're adding an additional skill onto that ability. It states this ability cannot be used if Nightwing is under a low ceiling. We then have a pretty awesome team-based skill. This is called Assassin's Mark. So with this, mark an enemy, increasing Nightwing and his allies' damage to the foe by 10%. And the next skill we have here is another disappointing one, unfortunately. This is called Precise Strike. So with this, increase Nightwing's chance of landing a critical hit by 10%. This next skill we have here is thankfully a more interesting one. So this is Aerial Bounce. With this, Nightwing bounces off an enemy following an aerial attack to propel himself back into the air. Can be used up to 3 times in quick succession. This one will be pretty fun to use, I reckon. The final skill we have here in this tree is unfortunately another disappointing one. This is called Critical Distance. So with this, hitting an enemy with a melee attack from a large distance increases the critical chance and critical damage by 15%. But let's have a look at the next tree here. This is the Acrobat tree. So this next skill tree here is called Acrobatic, and you can really see from this the type of playstyle that the developers are looking to encourage with Nightwing. It's all about moving about and bouncing off enemies. So the first skill we have is Aerial Damage Plus. So if this one increases Nightwing's aerial attack damage by 20%. We have a pretty unique skill with this next one. I've not seen this on any other heroes. So this is called Extra Momentum Bar. It does what it says in the tin. With this, it grants Nightwing an extra momentum bar. Momentum is what you use to activate your abilities, something we'll look at later on in the video. We have another basic skill here, unfortunately. This is Momentum Gain Plus. So this one increases Nightwing's momentum gain by 15%. So with Nightwing, it looks like you'll be encouraged to use your abilities as much as you can. We move on to Evade Chain. So with this one, Nightwing chain evades by performing a quick succession of back jumps. We have an upgrade to the previous skill up next. This is called Hallie's Favourite. So this one, completing an evade chain knocks down all nearby enemies. We have a further upgrade to the evade chain here, so there's really quite a high emphasis on this. This is Evade Chain Momentum. Performing an evade chain during combat restores a portion of Nightwing's momentum. Finishing up this tree then, we have Mind and Body. This is once again focusing on his momentum abilities. So with this, using momentum abilities restores a portion of Nightwing's health. It would be nice if it told you how much it actually restored. I hate when games are vague like this. We need to know specific numbers. But that's the Acrobat tree. Let's look at the Pack Leader tree. The first skill we have here, and this tree is a very interesting one, it's Family Ties. So it increases Nightwing's defense and resistance by 10%. Quite what resistance is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it will maybe decrease how much he gets staggered, or it could be something to do with elemental damage build up on him. If you do know, then feel free to let me know in the comments below. Also with this, working with allies also grants him additional bonuses. So if you fight alongside Batgirl, you get 15% melee damage, 15% range damage for fighting alongside Red Hood, and then 15% stealth damage for fighting alongside Robin. We then have Health Bolstered Defense. This is a bit of an odd one, I think, the way it works. So when Nightwing's health is at least 70%, he gets a 5% defense bonus, scaling up to 20% at full health. This for me feels a bit odd because the time when you don't really need too much defense. Too much would be when you're at high health, it would be more than when you're at low health. So I'd prefer this was actually flipped and it was the other way around. As your health went down, that you actually got more defense. This next skill we have here is going to be pretty awesome for his momentum regeneration, which again in turn will allow you to spam your abilities. This is momentum regen. So Nightwing's momentum regenerates over time. Regeneration stops after filling one momentum segment. Normally you have to fight enemies to actually fill it up. So once it's filled up at 1, gaining any additional momentum activates regeneration again. So I think that means it would then maybe fill up to 2 slots there as long as you start to manually refill it yourself. It also states working with allies increases regeneration speed as well, so he's going to really be spamming his abilities. We then have a pretty strong looking co-op skill here. This is called shared skill. So passive skills increasing damage, crit chance, defense, momentum regeneration and ultimate cooldown are shared with allies at 50% of their value. So if we think back to the first tree, for example, one of the skills gave you an additional flat 10% crit, which is a decent amount. You're going to be getting an additional 5% for your allies as well, so this is actually really pretty good. Elemental Smart Darts is the next skill we have here. So with this, Nightwing's darts inflict elemental effect build up on enemies, or rather interestingly, you can heal allies over time with them. We have an upgrade to the darts next here. This has got the potential to really ramp up the damage. So this is Elemental Smart Darts Plus. It's actually quite hard to say that. So Nightwing's darts also reduce enemies' defense by 10% and increase damage inflicted by allies by 5% for 10 seconds. Finishing up the pack leader tree here, we have Revive Darts. Interesting skill this one. So Nightwing's darts can be used to instantly revive an ally from afar and is a maximum use of 1 per night. But let's check out the final skill tree here. This is a Knighthood tree. So the skills then for the Knighthood tree, I believe there are unlocked at various different parts of the story. The first one is always a traversal for the character. Pretty certain this is unlocked after the tutorial, the opening of the game. So for Nightwing you've got Flying Trapeze. With this, Nightwing uses his Flying Trapeze to glide through the air. He can also rebound off walls to gain altitude and speed, so he's actually going to be really pretty fun, I reckon, from an acrobatic point of view. We have an upgrade to the darts that we looked at in the previous tree, so this is called Triple Darts. With this, Nightwing shoots 3 darts at once instead of 1. The next skill is Strike Distance Plus. With this, Nightwing's melee attacks can strike enemies from further away. We then have an upgrade to one of his abilities we're going to look at in the next section. This particular upgrade is called Guardian. With this, defeating an enemy reduces Nest's ability cooldown by 15%. We have another upgrade to the same ability. This is called Bigger Nest, so it increases the size of Nightwing's nest. I'm trying not to laugh when saying this, the skill description does sound kind of funny. But let's look at the next one. We have a further upgrade to Nest once again here. This is Nest Buffs Plus. This one, Nest damage is increased by 150% and the healing effect is increased by 100%. And again, we're going to look at this ability in just a moment. The last skill that we look at here looks to be a standard one for all heroes that I've had a look at so far. So this is called Combat Expertise. With this, it increases the number of attacks in Nightwing's melee combo by 1. The last hit in that combo will be a knockdown as well. Now let's have a look at his abilities. With the abilities then, you can have 8 in total. You can equip all of them at the same time. You unlock these by completing specific challenges for your characters, and you'll activate them via gaining momentum on your character, with the exception of the final ability that we're actually going to look at. That's got a cooldown on it instead. But the first one we look at is Shotgun Darts. With this, Nightwing shoots a dart from each hand. The darts deal higher damage on closer proximity to enemies, and you'll notice it's got Guard Break as a status effect on it as well. Next up, it's Elemental Shockwave. With this one, Nightwing smashes the ground, creating an elemental trail that damages enemies, and the statuses on this are Piercing and Partial Area of Effect. I'm not quite sure what Piercing does. Maybe you get certain enemies that get armour, for example, and then you'll do more damage if you use a skill such as this. Our third ability that we look at here, this one is called Pounce. So with this, Nightwing jumps at a faraway enemy, inflicting damage and knocking them down. So he has got a lot of acrobatic style moves in his kit. But let's look at the final ability now. So this final ability then, as mentioned, this is the one that's got a cooldown, so you don't build up momentum. At the moment the cooldown is 5 minutes, but it looks like we can actually lower that. So it's called Nest. We've already talked about it during the skill section when we've seen 3 different upgrades for it. With this, the core skill, with it, Nightwing creates a nest around himself and any allies, granting a large defense bonus and healing over time. The nest also inflicts damage over time to any enemies that step in it, and it's got a duration of 20 seconds and it's fear inducing as well. So looking at all that, Nightwing's playstyle, it's all about acrobatics and it's all about actually buffing your teammates as well. Now, just to finish up, we've got some costumes to show off here, 13 in total. I'm not going to do any commentary for this section, I'll just quickly zip through them and let you see them. But with this video, if it has been helpful, please take time to hit the like, share and subscribe button and let me know what you think of Nightwing's kit in the comments below. And thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.